Hi, you came back. Thank you. Since we last met, I did not do anything about this. I did get a haircut that came with a blowout. I'm not sad about the timing of it because I don't really ever blow dry my hair. So I'm grateful for it. To be seen. And that's a big piece of what we're talking about today. So, welcome to Be Salty. Today's post is about be salty, not petty. And I have a very humbling story about pettiness. Actually, I have probably about a million. But today we're going to talk about a relevant one. My prayer going into this entire, relaunch, shift from blogging to the video and podcast is to make sure this is about God and not about me. And there's obviously temptation to be vain and to focus on myself, like talking about my blowouts. But that really is a prayer for me. So I hope that if you think about it, you could join me in that prayer to keep this about the Lord and not about me. With that in mind, on Monday morning, last Monday, so the first video went live Sunday night at 8:30, like it always does. And before Crawford left the house on Monday morning, he said, "Oh, I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to see it." And I kind of all day was like, "Oh, I can't wait for his email. He's going to send me like at least a paragraph." And I bet I get flowers today. I bet I do. I bet I do. So the email doesn't come, and he had to run an errand after work or something, and I didn't really know what he was doing, but he sent me a text and he said, "Love the post." I was like looking at my phone. I'm like, okay, he's gonna come in with flowers. Like there's more. There's more. There's definitely more. So he came in and gave me a hug and said, I don't even know that I think maybe he said, "Love the post. You did great." And I was annoyed, and I felt like I deserved more, needed more. So I was a little bit short and snippy as we were getting dinner on the table. And in that moment, I prayed and I said, "God, please take this from me. This is so silly." And he immediately reminded me of, "Oh, yeah, so you remember your prayer to not make this about you?" Can we go back to that focus? Anyway, so in that moment, I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be adored. I wanted to be valued. And you may not think that this is fear related, but it very much is. It's the fear of insignificance. And this fear of, I kind of think the clinical term, or not clinical term, I'm going to not even act like I know what I'm talking about there, but it's about the fear of disappearing. And if, you're not valued and affirmed, then you're insignificant and you don't matter. So we know that this is a lie. But in our humanness, it can be as much as you walk out and you feel great and your husband doesn't say a thing about your outfit, or you work really hard on a project and the boss doesn't acknowledge it. It can be any matter of things, but we all experience it. It's just to sit in that fear of not mattering and being insignificant brings out pettiness. We don't want to be petty. So what yes, and that's what it leads to. This fear of insignificance leads to pettiness. It leads to Satan's beauty salon, where you sit in a chair and you can be petty, or you can be passive aggressive, or you can get this other really nice hairdo of what's another one here? Oh, the super salon deal, the super salon special is jealousy. When this pettiness turns into jealousy, the fear of insignificance is expressed in jealousy. And I don't know about you, but a lot of this can happen for me in social media. And that can trigger it for me is when I, see people doing these cool things or having this great vacation or this perfectly dressed child when mine's naked. Like it just, you get a little jealous and you feel like, wait, am I seen? Do I matter? Because I'm looking at them. They matter. So I think that obviously social media can be that for a lot of people. It certainly is for me. And what I wanted us to be aware of in this is the petty patrol. So think about things that trigger when you can slip into pettiness and this fear of insignificance. For me, it's social media. Also, if I'm tired, if I am hormonal, if I'm not feeling great, if there's other stress and you think you want to zone out, I keep coming back to social media. I just feel like it's such a huge piece of feeling this pettiness creep in, or this jealousy, or, that is rooted in fear of being insignificant for me. So how do we, what is this? Y'all remember, there's no editing. And my sweet father really encouraged me in that and was like, you need to be unedited because the world is so edited right now. And sweet Braden, my Brady, said the same thing. She said, why doesn't be salty mean you're unedited? So yeah, that's what's going to be. So you're going to get all my mess ups. But anyway, so with this, how does this relate to something biblical and to the Bible? Well, first of all, God knows us. He made us. So he knew that we would struggle with this. And he has given us a manual called the Bible. And in Ecclesiastes, he teaches us that there's nothing new under the sun. So really anything we're going through, even like the crazy world that we're in, it's not new. And he's not scared. In the same vein, in Judges 12, there's a story about a man named, I don't know how to say it, Jephthah. I think that's right. So in Judges, the Israelites continue to, I'm doing my swinging, I'm sorry, continue to seek what's evil in the Lord. They're worshiping idols, or they're, doing what they shouldn't be doing, which is typically worshiping idols or false gods or turning from the Lord. So they have been in major, I have some better notes here. Okay, first of all, Jephthah, he is the son of Gilead. He's an amazing warrior. However, he is the son of a prostitute, and all of his half-brothers are super like, you ain't our kind, and so they run him out. They run him off. And he leaves town, and he has every reason, in my opinion, to be super petty and super bitter and super, well, these people turned on me, but that's my blood, and that's my inheritance, etc., etc. But really, what he does is he uses his gifts, and he becomes this amazing warrior. And it does mention that he has a group of rebellious, what's it called? Worthless rebels followed him. So he's a leader, just might not be leading the best crew, but hey, that's all right. Jesus would run after the worthless rebels too. So he is sought to lead Israel into battle against the Ammonites. I want to make sure I said that right. Yep. So he first is in disbelief, and he's like, what the heck? You totally banished me, and now you're coming to me to lead your people? And he could have sat there. He could have been bitter. He could have been petty and said, no, you turned on me. I'm out. But he didn't. He was faithful, and he went into battle, and he trusted the Lord. And everywhere that he succeeds, or everywhere that he has a challenge, he always points to God. And I'll give you the scripture to read so you can read it for yourself. But it's all to God's glory, and it's his victory, and he's faithful, etc., etc. So Jephthah, kind of a stud. He goes and fights the Ammonites, and they win. And he gives all the glory to God. So here comes some petty patrol alert. This is after the battle in Judges 12, starting in verse 1. Then the people of Ephraim mobilized an army and crossed over the Jordan River to Zaphron. They sent this message to Jephthah. Why didn't you call us to help you fight against the Ammonites? We're going to burn down your house with you in it. Jephthah replied, I summoned you at the beginning of the dispute, but you refused to come. You failed to help us in our struggle against Ammon. So when I realized you weren't coming, I risked my life and went to battle without you. And the Lord gave me victory, there it is, over the Ammonites. So why have you now come to fight me? The people of Ephraim responded, "You men of Gilead are nothing more than fugitives from Ephraim and Manasseh." So Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and attacked the men of Ephraim and defeated them. So these Ephraim people, they're Israelites. They're on the same team, but they, didn't get invited to the party. So now they're going to fight them and they're going to lose. And really the goal is just completely lost there. They are so self-consumed and inward focused in this little petty pity party, that they end up being killed. That's obviously a very extreme example. However, we can all think of times when we're not invited, or somebody goes another direction in work, doesn't choose you, those kinds of things. Or whatever you're tracking, I think. And we don't necessarily get killed, but we could really hurt ourselves when we get stuck in those times where we feel scorned, or we feel like what was supposed to happen to us didn't rightly happen. So in this, really, we need to take away from this, the whole point of this entire podcast is to talk about how to be salty and not petty. And it's apparent to me that is not something I can do. Just me, just Mary Clay and my humanness. My default, my MO can be to be petty, or feel a little pitiful, or to get a little jealous, or then to, take out my anger, like, well, I'm going to get them back, like these people that are, and then the Ephraim people say, you're nothing but fugitives, and, they cut them down. So in my head, I can do that too. So all of this, setting aside the pettiness, stepping into the saltiness, is a death to self. How do we do that? How do we take ourselves out of this? Well, first of all, we have to really realize the depravity of who we are without God. And we are just really sad folk. We are prone to sin. We are just fugitives, worthless rebels. We're all those things. But with him and knowing what Jesus did for us, we realize that we are deeply valued and we are deeply loved by the God of the universe. His opinion is all that matters. My sweet friend Shelby emailed, and she said something that was so sweet. She was like, I need to remember that I have an audience of one. And we do. And that has to be enough. Okay, but how does that become enough? We can say all these things, and we can, profess that we do believe, and we believe this truth. Carver and I talked through this in a different vein this morning, but it starts with knowledge of God. And yes, there are ways to, know his attributes and know he is mighty, he is good, he is powerful, he is personal, all these things. The book Knowledge of the Holy is an incredible book, by the way, to dig into all the attributes of Christ, God, Trinity. Sorry, getting off topic. But it's the way to know God is in walking with him. And that does not require huge biblical knowledge. That requires dependence. And it requires, in those settings, and I'm not tooting my own horn because I certainly didn't behave beautifully, but in the kitchen to stop and go, okay, God, help me see this. Help me walk through this with you. I want to walk in your will, not where my pettiness lives. Let me walk where you want me to be. So this is it's death to self. It's looking at the cross and seeing that what God did, he came down from the throne, sent his son from glory on a donkey to save us. It really is mind-blowing when we get back to those brass tacks. And then it's knowing who you are and who God says you are, and you are loved and you are valued and you are worthy. And I know it's hard when God is not in your face or seen visibly, tangibly, to believe those things when you're not invited or you feel jealous or you're not seen. But you are, and we have to believe that, and we have to trust that. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is in Matthew 5:13, because I get caught up on 30 seconds. That's self-inflicted. Read that. Salt is not looking to be praised. Salt brings out flavor in the world. It looks different, but it makes the world a better place. So don't miss the questions. at the bottom in the prayer. I love y'all. See you next week.